Welcome to the First and 30 podcast. This is episode 76, and I'm your host, Antonino, the Podfather. And this week, we're keeping the chains moving, as always, with one of our favorite guests. Champ is in the house from the Undisputed Goat Podcast. Good to have you back in studio. How you been, man?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back. Teaming up with the Podfather once again, man. I love that name. That is the coolest name ever for the Podfather.
Hey, well, you're the champ, the GOAT, and we're doing this together. Great to have you on. I'm glad you're in good spirits because I know the Falcons, they're not doing so hot lately. They're on a little skid. With that smile of yours, you seem like you're doing okay. That's great to see.
Yes, indeed. Hey, man, Bulldogs still winning, though. Bulldogs still winning, and hey, that was a good World Series that we saw. So I'm happy to see that. My Braves wasn't in that like I wanted them to be at the beginning of the year. But guess what? We'll be back next year. We'll be back.
That's right. Champ is a loyal Georgia fan. He's from Georgia. He's fans of all the teams there. Those Bulldogs, yep, they're in the runnings. So we'll keep an eye out for them. And we'll have a little vent session here later in the show for the Falcons and the Bengals. Both of our teams took an L. But before that, we got some blockbuster deals to talk about. Usually the trade deadline is a snooze fest, but let's kick it off. It's first down. We got trade deadline deals. And the two biggest deals came from players leaving the Empire State, New York, with Sauce Gardner going to the Colts for not one, but 2 first-round draft picks. Are you kidding me right now? And then Quinnen Williams going to the Cowboys. What are the Jets thinking here? Are they just cleaning house, rebuilding again?
Yes, and from what it looks like it is. Like, they didn't get the right coach in there. Well, they had the right coach in there, but, Aaron the Destroyer came in there and kind of messed things up. Because if you remember correctly, when Zach Wilson was in there, their record was 7-5. The problem with the Jets is this. They've drafted great quarterbacks. They've drafted great safeties. They've drafted great defensive tackles. They put together some great teams in free agency. Remember, they had the Mark Sanchez team. They just cannot get a hold of a great quarterback that is going to keep this team really together for a long period of time. I think the very last quarterback that they had was Mark Sanchez, and then before that it was Chad Pennington. But it was never. It's always in spurts. It's like a 5-year spurt, and then lo and behold, boom, they'll fall off. But when you think about it, they've been able to draft a lot of great receivers. They've been able to draft a lot of great defensive players, bring in guys in free agency at the running back position. Remember, they brought in Thomas Jones. They brought in Curtis, my favorite, Martin. They brought in LaDaine Thompson, Anthony Richardson. Remember John Connor. They was calling him the Terminator at the fullback position. They've been able to do a lot of things. It's just they have not, unlike their counterparts in the Buffalo Bills, the New England Patriots, and even the Miami Dolphins when they had Dan Marino, they have not been able to bring in that one quarterback that could just be able to erase everything.
Man, I didn't have Chad Pennington on my bingo card of names that I would hear today, but I know a lot of Jets fans are probably reminiscing on those good teams that they had. Defense locked tight, offense, players. They're rebuilding again, it looks like, and they're going to do that with 5 first-round draft picks in the next 2 years. So they have the ammo to go after this thing again. There's a quarterback out of Indiana. I'm not going to look too far ahead. It's not draft season yet, but if they get the first pick, Indiana quarterback might be the Heisman, could be there for the taking. But we'll move on. Those are the 2 trades. Jets, don't know what you're thinking, but Quinnen Williams goes to the Cowboys. Jerry Jones said he had something up his sleeve, and he brought in 2 players on the defensive side of the ball. Quinnen Williams gets a fresh start. Do you think he'll have an impact in Dallas?
Absolutely. Kenny Clark has hit the injury bug a little bit, so people forget Kenny Clark is still a Pro Bowler. He's still an All-Pro. Mm-hmm. And Quinnen Williams, man, I had to deal with him for 4 years when he was in Alabama. He was killing us. So Quinnen Williams is a top 10 defensive tackle in this league. So with him anchoring that front four, him and Kenny Clark, if they're able to get them back, and they have Leonard Floyd there as well, and, they can use Jadeveon Clowney in different packages and things of that nature, Matt Eberflus can. It's going to be interesting to see. The thing is, they don't need this defense to be stifling. They need them to just be able to stop it, just get them a couple of 3-and-outs every single game. Just a couple. Not,
Average.
yeah, just average. But because that offense that they have is, when it's clicking, it's going.
Clicking.
So,
yeah, they got the weapons on the outside. They can score points when they're working well. So I agree with you 100%. Let me go through some more trades real quick. We got Rashid Shaheed going from the Saints to the Seahawks for a 4th and a 5th round pick. He's a great number 2 guy. Jacoby Myers, another receiver, going from the Raiders to the division-leading Jaguars over there. Raiders get a 4th and a 6th. They're dealing with injuries with Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas. That's a good fit right there. You got the Bears bolstering up the DN side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, and the Ravens both getting a couple defensive ends there. But I want to talk about one more team who got the rich get richer, and they didn't even play a game this past weekend. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. They traded for Miami Dolphins edge Jalen Phillips for a 3rd round pick. And like a week ago, they didn't even play. They traded for Jair Alexander for a 7th round pick. How the heck do the Eagles do this? They just got 2 key players, and they just built up their team, and they didn't even play.
Howie Roseman. Look, he's the Jerry Krause of the NFL. He's the Jerry Krause of the NFL. He is going to get him some players one way or another. I mean, I love Howie Roseman, and I love how he's willing to gamble, because Jair Alexander, he's been kind of a bust up there in Baltimore. He's been kind of a bust, but he took a chance on it. And look, you got to be willing to gamble, especially when you're trying to repeat in the NFC East, especially. And then it happened just in times. They shared up their defense, the Cowboys shared up theirs. So it happens just fine. And Phillips, he's a good rusher as well. So, yeah, they shared up their defense. They made sure that it was ready for the long haul. We're getting ready to go into these cold months. And and in these cold months, cold intensifies pain. So you got to have that defense willing to dish it out.
I absolutely love that. And it sounds like the Eagles are ready to do that. Jair Alexander, don't look now, about to play his former team in the Packers on Monday Night Football. If he's active and ready, you'll see that matchup kind of reunite. Excited to see how the Eagles look. But let's move on to second down. Let's talk winners and losers from the trade deadline. We talked about the biggest trades, but who won, who lost? And I'm going to kick it off right off the bat. I'm going to tell you 2 people. Yep, both the guys we mentioned from the Jets leaving New York. Not only are they going to save a bunch of tax money, because Lord knows that New York tax bill is no joke. One's going to Texas and the other, Indianapolis. So they're getting a fresh start and they're saving a ton of money. Those are my 2 winners right there, right off the bat.
Yeah, because Dallas don't have, because the state of Texas, no state income taxes. So I go from getting taxed like hell to getting no taxes. So, hey, I'm all for it. But I will say the Cowboys, simply because guess what? You have 2 high-quality defensive tackles. Once everything comes into fruition, you're going to be good. And you have $70 million in cap space. I think that's being over at this point. You have $70 million in cap space that you're going to be able to use. Now, it's just a question of if you're going to be able to sign George Pickens or not. And I have to say the Jets, because guess what? This team still has talented players. Mm-hmm. They still have Garrett Wilson. They still have Breece Hall. They still have some talent on this team. But you just have to – they're just trying to speed up the process as far as getting a head start on the draft that's coming up. They have a lot of talented players coming up at these 2 next draft. I can't wait to see who they're going to end up getting. Like I stated, they could draft anywhere. Let's give the Jets a hell of a lot of credit. They could draft some great players. They drafted a litany of Hall of Famers. They've drafted Hall of Fame offensive line. They drafted Hall of Fame cornerbacks. They've drafted Hall of Fame safety. They just have to get the quarterback position right so that it can prepare them for the long haul. That's all they have to do. But it has to be the Jets and the Cowboys at this point. I know the easy way out is the Philadelphia Eagles, but they won before the trades even happened at a certain point. We kind of knew, and there's really no other team in the NFC right about now that you can see challenging them. There's not that clear-cut number 2 team that you're really saying that's who they need to look out for. There's not that clear-cut number 2 team in the NFC right now.
I'm really glad that you mentioned this one team, the Dallas Cowboys, Big D, America's team. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Everyone gives Jerry Jones so much slack. The guy lives and breathes the Cowboys. He's able and willing to spend the big bucks to get the biggest talent out there on his squad, and he did that. If it fails, fine. The guy aims for the fences every time. I don't blame him for not wanting to keep Parsons around when in minicamp he's sitting up on this little table when everyone else is practicing in the 2-a-days in the summer heat in Texas. He's kicking his feet up in front of all the media and reporters, acting like a daisical and just showing no work ethic, no discipline. He's been around and seen legends. DeMarcus Ware, he's seen players on that defensive side of the ball that work hard, blue chip players. So good for him, getting him out of town, replacing him with Quinnen Williams, young, huge upside, ready to have a new change of scenery with Logan Wilson, 2 team captains. He checked all the boxes. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, big-time winners in this trade deadline, in my opinion.
Yes, indeed. Jerry Jones is the George Steinbrenner of the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He's got the money to spend, and he will spend it, and he wants to see a Super Bowl trophy one last time until the jig is up. But let's move on to losers. Who took a big fat L?
I will have to say, the Dolphins.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to say the Dolphins. They took a big, huge L. And you have to say the Raiders, because that was one of your main threats outside of Brock Bowers. And, as we all know, Brock Bowers is already an all-pro. Now teams are going to be keying in on him even more now that Jacoby Myers is gone. So I have to say the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles.
Right, whatever they are.
The Connecticut Raiders or whatever they decide to do these days. But I have to say the Raiders and the Miami Dolphins.
I'll forever call them the Oakland Raiders. For the record, I'm always going to call them the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, always. Look, hey, you could travel far, but that Oakland fan base, that was the most diehardest fan base ever. 4-12 for 6 consecutive years, and your stadium still sold out every game.
Yep, the Black Hole, Raider Nation, the face paint, all that. They're diehard fans. I love to see the Raiders do good. The Miami Dolphins, both teams, just high expectations when this season started, and it's just falling flat. Pete Carroll, both coaches kind of going through the ringer there. But I'm going to circle one team as my loser, and it's kind of a shock. Okay, we talked about Sauce Gardner. How about the team he's going to, the Indianapolis Colts? 2 first-round draft picks, and they gave up Mitchell, the receiver, as well. So 2 first-round draft picks and a receiver for Sauce Gardner. I feel like they're going all in. They're pushing all their chips to the center of the table right now. And I feel like, in a way, it's a little too soon. I feel like they got excited because they see Daniel Jones playing well, but I feel like we're getting tricked, man. They got the running game going at an MVP level. Will that keep up? Daniel Jones, you saw him playing in Pittsburgh this last week. They lost. You saw the old Daniel Jones creep in. I'm a little worried. They thought this is their chance for a Super Bowl, and they might have jumped the gun. What do you think? The Colts, are they silly?
No, in the great words of the Los Angeles Rams general managers, man, blank them picks. Blank them picks. So I'm not going to put the other words in. We're going to say blank them picks. The thing is, if you remember back in 1983, let's take a trip back in time. You remember there was a team by the name of the Raiders once again, and they had a pretty decent defense that year. They had a bunch of Hall of Famers on that team. The Mad Stewart, Ted Hendricks, you had Rob Martin, you had Howie Long, and you had Lester Hayes. They were 5-3 during that time, and they made the same type of trade for 2 first-round picks for a Hall of Famer by the name of Mike Haynes, who ironically, much like Sauce Gardner, played cornerback. And you know what happened that year? They made it to the Super Bowl. The thing is, right now, that division that they have is wide open that they're in right about now. C.J. Stroud is hurt right about now. Trevor Lawrence, there's a lot to be desired, plus Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. Well, Travis Hunter is hurt. Brian Thomas, there's a lot to be desired because he's dropping passes left and right, so there's a lot to be desired there. Not to mention the Tennessee Titans, they're not going anywhere fast. And Cam Ward, I just feel sorry for how much he has to go through over the course of the next 2 years, at least 2 to 3 years in this rebuild process. So they're seizing the opportunity right now because they see the state that the division is in. Part of winning the Super Bowl, for the most part, is winning winning your division, excuse me. And what they have been when they were at their peak, what did they do all the time? They was able to win their division when they had Peyton Manning and they had Tony Dungy. Not to mention when they got the great Andrew Luck, they was able to win their division a few times. So the key is winning that division and taking over that division and putting the separation between yourself and that division. So I think it was a pretty good trade. They gave up Mitchell, but 2 first-round picks. I understand when you get a corner the caliber of Sauce Gardner, when you also have great defensive players on your team as well.
I looked at the standings this morning, and I'm glad you just reminded me. The Colts are 7-2. I was thinking the Jaguars were in front of that division. No. The Jags are not division leaders. It's the Colts at 7-2. Crazy to think about, but I agree with you. Bleep them picks. Bleep them picks. Get to the Super Bowl. Get that talent in there, proven talent. I love it. But let's move on to third down. And this is a vent session over here. Come on, everybody join in. This is a little therapy session. I'm a Bengals fan. You're a Falcons fan. We both had 2 games this past weekend that were pretty exciting, but the end was a little bitter. Let's touch on the Bengals at first. We played the Bears, all right? We're down 2 touchdowns towards the end. We're able to do a miraculous comeback, score 15 points in under a minute. We get an onside kick. We go down the field. We get a touchdown, 50 seconds left. Everything's great, right? Wrong. We got the worst defense known to man that ever existed in the NFL. Caleb Williams made us look silly. They end up getting a touchdown on a long Loveland touchdown run, a couple missed tackles, and I'm sitting at the bar heartbroken. What do I got to do, man? What body part do I have to give up to get these Bengals going in the right direction?
Number one, you'd have to get rid of Mike Brown first.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, unfortunately, you're not going to get rid of him anytime soon. But look, number one, should have got Ted Hendricks in the camp a little bit sooner. I think he would have been I think that the best way to play yourself into football shape is to play more football. And I think that's why he's been battling that injury bug a little bit. Number two, I feel like they drafted the wrong guy. They really swung for the fences when it came to Shamar Stewart. He only had 4 sacks his last year at school. So you really was looking at him like, okay, it's either boom or bust with him. And they have not been doing very, very good on the defensive side of the ball. Now, credit to Joe Flacco and that offense. I thought it was flat out over with once Joe Burrow went out. But the thing is, like I said a couple weeks ago on your show, Podfather, once he came in, it seems like the damn offensive line just got better. It's just like, where's all this blocking?
Yeah.
That Joe Burrow, where was all of this when my guy Joe Burrow was here?
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy.
And speaking of trades, that was a trade. I didn't mention it on first down, but that was a trade that happened prior to the deadline. Yes, it was a few weeks ago, but it goes forgotten. He's led the league in reception yards or throwing yards and touchdowns in the past since he got traded. Leads the league. Touchdowns, throwing yards, leads the league. So that goes to show the offense is still pumping it out. But on the other side, same problem as last year. And you say that Shamar Stewart, I'm triggered. I just got chills, man. I just got chills. Don't do that to me.
Yeah, my bad, Papa. But it's God honest truth. He only had 4 sacks, and you didn't get him or Ted Hendrickson in camp in time in order for them to be in shape for this. They're still kind of playing themselves into shape right about now. Much like Michael Parsons is out there in Green Bay. That's like he hasn't gotten really off the ground at this point.
Yep, and Hendrickson now dealing with injuries. He missed the game. But you saw this game had a kickoff return for a touchdown. We had the Bears miss a field goal. We had the craziest things happen. We had Coach Zach Taylor challenge a play that then gave the Bears a touchdown. Everything you can think of, we saw in this game: an onside kick recovery. We saw a field goal block. We saw a rookie running back, 7th-round pick for the Bears, run for 176 yards. T. Higgins making some circus catches. But at the end of the day, as always, the NFL, absolute cinema. But the Bengals come away with the L. I'm hurt, but misery loves company. Tell me, man, how are you feeling as a Falcons game after the loss at the New England Patriots? Tell me about that game.
It was written, and I predicted it. I didn't get too high when we was going after we beat Josh Allen. Only thing I wanted to do was gear ourselves up in order to make the playoffs. That's it. And the thing is, the defensive side of the ball is doing great. Hey, Chef Kiss, can't argue with you there. The problem is with Zach Robinson, this offense is very, very predictable. The other team can know what we're doing before we even know. They know when we get into pistol formation with Bijan Robinson lined up right behind Michael Penix Jr., they know we're about to run it in the middle. They know when he get in the shotgun and he lines up to his right side, they know we're about to run a halfback draw. There's no unpredictability within the offense, and when you can predict what your opponent is going to do, you're able to load the box up and you're able to stop Bijan. You're able to load the box up and stop Tyler Algier, which, this is Algier's last year in Atlanta. So you have to think about that as well. So the thing is, you have to be more of a better play caller when it comes to Zach Robinson. We've already, not to mention, we lost Ray McLeod. He was dismissed from the team. And right now, Darnell Mooney is hurt as well. So the only thing that we really have is Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I would have loved to see Atlanta make a trade for another utility wide receiver, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But we have to work on the offensive side of the ball as far as making it so our opponent cannot predict everything that we're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. But tell me about the fourth quarter. I saw a missed extra point that could have tied the game. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that kicker's not in town anymore. I think that was breaking news today that maybe that kicker's not even on the team.
No, they packed his bags and had his bags, and they evicted him real quick. So yeah, they evicted him, and we signed ourselves another kicker. So yeah, that's what happened.
Oh, wow.
And what's so funny about the Atlanta Falcons? This is not the first kicker they had to kick out of town. Remember, Young Hoku got kicked out of town earlier in the year. So, he was his replacement. So, a lot of special teams mistakes that's been going on this year. You can only hope that they're able to get this right either in free agency or the draft at this point. Or, look, hey, there's a kicker, a free agent kicker from the University of Georgia, used to kick for the Indianapolis Colts. Bring in Rodrigo. See what he can do.
Rodrigo. Oh,
yeah,
my
bring
goodness.
in Rodrigo. Goggles, what we used to call him. See what he can do.
He wore them goggles, right? He was the guy who wore the goggles?
Yeah,
I
that's
knew
what
it.
we used to call them goggles.
Goggles. Hey, when it comes down to kickers, you need somebody with ice in his veins. I remember they used to call Ice Cube, but then they cut him.
Yeah, but he melted.
Oh man, well, I appreciate you joining me in this vent session here on Third Down, but let's try and keep it moving a little bit. I know there's another fan base that's having a commisery party right now. So fourth down, let's talk about, the Commanders, Jaden Daniels. Oh, man, it makes me sick to say this. Yes, he got injured. Yes, it was on FedEx Field's turf, the haunted, the cursed. I know Halloween just passed. Boy, oh boy, I think this field is cursed. You know how many injuries we've seen on this field? I think they call it Northwest Field now. You could change the name all you want. RG3, Joe Burrow blew his ACL out there. Chase Young, ACL. Ryan Fitzpatrick's hip. Alex Smith had that gruesome leg injury. There's something about this field, and thank goodness they're opening a new stadium. What were they thinking leaving him in the game down 38-7 against Seattle? What were they thinking?
This is not the first bonehead decision that Dan Quinn has made. Remember, he let Kyle Shanahan call the offense in the fourth quarter when Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator of my Atlanta Falcons, which cost us that 28-3 victory. If you get what I'm saying,
right.
So he let him keep calling the play. But so that's not the first bonehead thing he's ever done. Number two, it's just time to acknowledge that the Washington Commanders are cursed at the quarterback position. They're very, very cursed. Think about it. Joe Theismann got hurt. Think about it. Doug Williams got hurt. Think about it. Mark Rippon, he got hurt. Then they drafted Mike Shula in order to replace him. He got hurt. Then Gus Farrat broke his neck. Remember Gus?
That's right. He rammed his head into the wall.
Yeah, Gus Farrat broke his neck. Remember when they had Mark Brunell? He took them to the playoffs that one year. The very next year, he got hurt. Then you had the Alex Smith. Then you had the RG3 debacle. That got messed up. Then the most gruesome of them all, probably even more gruesome than the Joe Theismann injury, Then you had Alex Smith. So that's 8 different quarterbacks that have gotten injured for this Washington Commanders franchise. When you think about the history of the franchise, they have never had, other than Theismann for a few years, they have never had that stable quarterback. Why? Because they always got hurt. That's how people always talk about the 80s when they reigned. The real thing was this. The only thing that was stable about that team was the Hogs and the defense. All of the rest of the skill position, especially the quarterback position, they were revolving doors. So this quarterback situation in Washington may be cursed.
Something's rotten in the cotton. I feel so bad. We got a ton of people that listen from the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. I really thought they had something, and they still do have a great stud in Jaden Daniels, but he will be out for the rest of the year. You hope there's not permanent effects from this. You hope he comes back. But a team that got so far last season, the NFC Championship game, no one thought that was possible. The vibes were high. The energy was high. And they come out this year. Don't look now. They have the same record as the Bengals at 3-6. Disgusting. So thank God they're wiping that stadium off the face of the map. I think they need a fresh start. Maybe they need to light some sage. I don't know. Maybe do some incense, do some sage, because something has got to change. Bring back the old logo. I don't know. That probably won't help either. Do you think they'll ever have the old name back, Redskins?
I do not know. And it's look, if this was back in, let's say, 1998, I would say yes. Mm-hmm. It was in the year 1998 and they changed the name and people were trying to, but nowadays, I doubt it. And it's for more than just football reasons, and we'll put it down.
Yeah, exactly. But before we end the show today, I told you I was going to save something for last. We're at the midpoint of the season. The midpoint. Who do you have going to the Super Bowl? I'll tell you my matchup real quick. I thought it was going to be the Packers and Chargers. Packers are inconsistent as all get out, and the Chargers, they're dealing with injuries. That was my week 1 prediction before the season started. But now I think it's clear as day, the Rams, Stafford, Quinnen Williams, they're playing nice, man. They're playing nice. And the Buffalo Bills, they just slayed the Dragon of the Chiefs this past week. I just think Bills and Rams, that's the matchup, man. That's what I think it's going to be.
Philly and the New England Patriots.
The New England, there must be something wrong with his AirPod. I told you, I don't wear AirPods. Something must be wrong with this because I think you said the New England Patriots?
Yes, indeed. Right now, they're number 1 in their division, not the Buffalo Bills. Ooh. And Mike Vrabel is Coach of the Year candidate. Not to mention Drake May is an MVP candidate. Only thing they have to do now is get set on that running back position. I don't know why they keep ousting Travion Henderson, but that remains to be seen. But right now, guess what? They're from worst to first. They're on track from being worst to first. Remember, last year they only won a handful of games. Now they're 7-2.
Yeah, no, don't look now. Stephon Diggs. People forget about Stephon Diggs. He's playing in New England, folks, and he's having a heck of a year. He's having a solid season.
Yeah.
The New England Patriots, they got Stevenson in the stable. They got some horses in that backfield. I'm surprised, man. New England Patriots, will it stand the test of time? Can they get through Buffalo twice this year? You know, I know their division's kind of Jets, Dolphins, whatever. Could this be the opportune time? Will the Patriots be in this? That just seems silly to say out loud. The Patriots in the Super Bowl?
Yes. I mean, look, just a couple years ago, we was talking about them as one of the greatest dynasties of all time. And the thing is, where did Mike Vrabel come from? The Patriot way. He came from the Patriot way. He started the Patriot way. Remember, he was playing both ways at one point. You know, long before it became popular. He was playing tight end and linebacker. So
you know what, champ, man? This is why I have you on. You just changed the whole rest of my night. Now I'm a gambling man. I'm a gambling degenerate. So now I gotta hit the Hard Rock Gambling app and I gotta look up these lines. I gotta see how much I can get for putting some money on these Patriots, man. So thanks for enlightening me on this. Maybe I'll put a little bit of cheddar on that. So I got Rams and Bills. You got those Patriots. I don't know, but as always, man, it's a pleasure having you on, champ. I know the 30 minutes goes quick, but every second is truly a pleasure. So as always, thank the Chain Movement for listening. You know the drill, folks. We'll see you on the next one. The next one is the best one.